a week this has been. It's been a tough week. It's been my hardest week yet. I want to explain what you just saw to where I am right now, and what happened after that clip that you just saw. Yeah. So this past weekend, we had Sean's memorial on Saturday. And it was fabulous. It was great. It couldn't have gone any better. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. Like, people coming was perfect. People celebrating Sean was perfect. The love in that theater was, you couldn't measure it. It was just so much. Like, you could feel the love around everyone. The love was just filled that entire space. For me, that love continued for 4 days. So my sister came into town on Thursday. I saw her Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Had Sean's memorial on Saturday. So that love, that immense, powerful love, was around me for 4 straight days. And it was wonderful. It was awesome. I can't even put it into words how it feels to go from the land of the dead to the land of the living and be immersed in this feeling that everything's great. There's happiness, there's smiles, there's joy, pure joy that you can't describe. And then Monday came. I had to say goodbye to my sister. We were at Universal and said goodbye, and it crushed me. I cried all the way back to my car from the entrance of Universal Studios. Got in my car and cried. Drove home crying. Got home, cried more. That was the clip you just saw. And from there, on Monday, it just became worse and worse and worse. After I filmed that clip, the black hole of despair just consumed me. And before I go any farther, I want to stop and say what I'm about to talk about is a very sensitive subject. If you're watching with someone who maybe shouldn't hear this, maybe watch it first and then decide. Or if talking about things like suicide is a trigger for you, please stop. Please don't watch this. I want to share with you what happened to me, so maybe it would help someone else, because it is not a place that I wanted to be in or thought I would ever be in, this dark of a place. So just telling you now, if you don't need to go on, you're not going to miss anything. Just stop. Don't watch the rest of this. Okay. Okay. So that dark hole of despair, the just absolute darkness, consumed me Monday night. I thought the second week that Sean was gone was the hardest. It didn't even compare to what I felt Monday night. Like, if I can describe it, you have all of this stuff around you. Like light and love and people talking to you, and people remembering Sean and remembering the laughter and the smiles that we had together, and that people shared memories with Sean. Went from that, this high to nothing. Just nothingness. And that's how I felt. It was absolute nothingness. I sat on the sofa. I laid in the same position that Sean passed away in, and I held his robe. And it just got worse and worse throughout the night. It's hard to describe. This is hard. It's hard to go back to where I was. So that night, so I still have all of Sean's medications here at the house. I haven't been able to discard of them appropriately, and I don't want to stick them in the trash. Sorry again. It's not right. So while laying on the sofa, the pain associated with grief and loss is a pain that you can't even describe. Sean talked about his cancer chemo pain, like he was being like a fish being scaled. And that I could understand that when he said that to me, and it made, like, it was a visualization that I could understand. For me, in that point on Monday, I like scary movies. I like horror movies. I've seen most of them. Sean didn't like them, but I love them. For me, that pain is like some super strength baddie, some monster, like Jason Voorhees, for example. And in the movie, he will take a knife and stick it in somebody's belly and then just lift them off the ground, and that knife rips all the way up to their heart. That's how it feels. It's a physical pain. It's a pain that feels like you're just ripping in half. And it doesn't go away. It's always there. It's just less. Like right now it's less. But on Monday it was too much. It was so much pain. And with that pain comes the darkness of thoughts. The thoughts that there's an easier way. You don't have to be in this pain anymore. You can get rid of the pain so easily. Just fall asleep, be done, and good, and bonus, you get to see Sean again. That's the thoughts going in my head, and it's not just running, it's like somebody's screaming in your ear, there's a better way, there's a better way, there's a better way. And you just can't. You just can't. If you know someone who's going through grief and loss, it's just a tiny bit of what it is like to feel this pain, this immense physical pain that is not just mental. And then the mental part on top of that comes along with it. So that moment led into me taking pills from Sean's. I haven't disposed of Sean's medications yet. Sean has probably, I don't know, I think he had like 25 different narcotics that they've put him on at some point, just trying different pain meds and everything else. I took a handful of them, and I took them out of the bottle and I put them in my hand, just a fistful. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, who knows how many there were, 50 to 100 pills in my hand. It was like I had a fistful of pills. And I just sat down on the sofa, just hearing all of this voices in my head just telling me there's such an easier way. This is too hard. Nobody needs to do this. Nobody needs to go through this. This is too difficult for anybody to handle. And it's true. It is too difficult for anybody to handle. So I sat there, and this whole time I was like, what do I do now? What do I do? And I couldn't think. I was looking at these pills in my hand, and I couldn't figure out anything that was going on. And then I was like, well, how much? I've never done this before. Am I going to do it right? I don't want to do it wrong. I want to make sure that, if I take too many pills, does that do I get sick and throw up, and then I'm not in the place that I want to be? If I don't take enough, it's the same kind of thing. So I got on my phone to Google how many pills do you need to take to overdose. and I couldn't get a web page to come up. I kept saying my internet was down. I was so frustrated. I was so beside myself because my mental state was just not correct. It was not good. And I couldn't get the web pages to come up. I tried like 2 or 3 times, and I was just so frustrated. And the voices are just getting louder and louder and louder in my head, and I'm breaking down more and more and more, and I can't even do this right. The simple thing that's supposed to be so simple, my head's telling me I can't even do it right, and more voices. It was so out of control in my head and where I was. So I just turned on music on the speakers behind me, onto our surround sound, just to get the voices to stop, just so that I could drown out this terrible darkness that was surrounding me. Like, just please make it stop. And I was holding on to these pills in my hand. I just held on to Sean's robe, and I was just sitting there like, please. And I turned the music up loud enough that it would drown out the sounds, and just laid there crying, sobbing. It was going to be the end. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to fight anymore. Unless you've gone through this, you don't know how exhausting it is to get up, to shower. Showering's awful because it's like in the shower your mind wanders, and I have to turn music up really loud in there because it's just such a struggle. So showering's difficult. Feeding the cats and taking care of the cats is difficult. Going to work, being creative, it's so exhausting. Going out and hanging out with friends because you know you have to. Eating, just putting a meal into my body, it's all so exhausting. And at this moment, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't think that it was just too much. It was so overwhelming. So I was laying on the sofa. And apparently I laid there for like 3 or 4 hours. I didn't even know it got dark in the house. I didn't have a single light on. It was just dark. I was in darkness. I didn't even know what was happening. And then apparently... And I kind of remember, but I don't kind of remember at the same time, texting 2 good friends goodbye. I wanted to make sure my family knows I love them. People close, that I talk to on a daily basis, they know I love them. But these 2 friends, I wanted to say goodbye and make sure that they knew that I loved them. And one of the friends is from here. She's local. She lives close to me. And apparently... whatever I said in the text, I can't even go back and read it, concerned her enough to come over to my house to check on me. And when she got here, she said that my music was so loud that she could hear it from across the street, which is where she parked her car. I had no idea the music was that loud. I was literally just trying to drown out these voices in my head to make them stop. Take away the pain. Just take away the pain. So she said she was here and she was knocking on my door and calling my phone. And my phone was not, I didn't hear my phone. I didn't hear anything because I was just music. I was just listening to this song over and over again. And so she was really scared, and she got the police involved, and they were pounding on the door. They started pounding on the door, and that's the first time I heard the door pounding. And it's sort of like I was in this stupor of sadness, and I was like, was that real? Is somebody really knocking on my door? Who's knocking on my door? It's dark outside. Why would I'm thinking it's like somebody selling something. I'm like, this is a weird time for someone to start selling something because it was so loud, the pounding. So I grabbed my phone, and mind you, I still have a fistful of pills in my hand. I grab my phone and check out the cameras outside. And it was a cop on my doorstep, pounding on my door. And I didn't know what to do. I was beside myself. I felt like I was just in shock. I started shaking. I looked down, and here I am with all this medication in my hands. And I'm like, they're going to arrest me. I'm going to go to jail. And so I was like frantically like trying to put all of the pills back in the bottle, so that I just like, do I answer the door? Do I not answer the door? Do they just go away? I mean, I've never had cops show up at the door before. And so, I was like trying to run around. And so then I got everything put away and put it on the counter. And then I went to the door and opened the door shaking. I have never been so scared in my life. One of those moments that I wish Sean was there with me, like to tell me that it was going to be okay, but he wasn't there. It was just me. And I opened the door and the cop shines his flashlight in my face. And I didn't see my friend, so I didn't know what was going on. And all these things are running through my head. So he asked me a couple questions. He asked me to step outside, and I did. And so then I saw my friend. She ran up and gave me a big hug. And it turned out that, she called the police, and they were doing a wellness check on me. And the whole time, I don't even think I really spoke to the police. And they called it ended up being 2 police officers that they called. I was just standing there like in just shock, like shock for one, that there's police and outside my door, and shock that they didn't know that literally 2 seconds before I'm sitting on the sofa with a fistful of medication, and just in shock of everything, shock of the situation, shock of where I was at that moment in time mentally, all of this shock. So they left, and I came inside, and I closed. My friend came in with me. They released me to her because they said, if you stay with her, she's going to be okay. And she was like, yeah, I'll stay with her. So she came back inside, and I closed the door, and I collapsed as soon as I closed the door. I just collapsed to the floor, crying, sobbing. Not mad at my friend for, coming over, the police getting involved, but sad and crying and sobbing because I was so close. My friend didn't even know. She doesn't know how close I was. Sitting on the sofa with a handful of pills just ready to end the voices, ready to end the darkness, ready to just end the pain. And I just collapsed. I couldn't believe that that's where I was. I couldn't believe that I went from this amazing weekend to here. I just couldn't believe it. But here I was. It's still, I think about it and it just tears me apart. Tears me apart. So my friend stayed with me for a little while, and that was nice. I was sort of coming out of the dark hole of despair while she was here. Just kind of, I know I must have been acting weird because she kept asking me again, over and over again, did I take any of the pills? And I said, no, I didn't take any. So I know that I must have been acting really out of it, and just, you can't describe of what it's like to be in that dark place. So I asked her, we talked for about an hour, and I said, I have something that I need you to do for me tonight. I need you to take all this medication out of my house. I don't trust myself in these situations where the darkness is all consuming. I don't trust myself anymore. Not after tonight, not after this is the scariest moment of my life. And she did. She grabbed everything, and she said that she was asking me for something. She's like, I'd like you to promise me something. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I need you to promise that tomorrow you'll get some help, that you'll reach out to somebody professionally. And I said, I can't promise that. I don't know if I can do that. And she was like, you have to promise me. Please promise me that you'll reach out to someone and get some help. And so I was sitting there looking at her, And it was just going through my head, and something told me, yeah, you got to have help with this. This can't happen again. So I said, I promise. And so oh gosh, I promised her that. And my other friend that I texted goodbye to called me, and I talked to him on the phone for a couple hours. I wasn't actually talking. I think it was just him talking, and I was just listening, just trying to understand where I just was, how close I was to the edge. I wasn't close to the edge. I had 1 foot off the edge, and it scared me. It scared me so much. It scared me that there were police called to my house. It scared me that I could take it this far, and if I could take it this far, then this time.
This is a reminder. Take a shower.
Alexa, stop. It was just a scary, scary moment. It's scary for me to think of now. It makes me very emotional. So the next day, I went to bed that night. I got like 0 hours of sleep that night. I might have got like an hour of sleep. And the next day, I contacted a grief counselor. And so I got an appointment for that day. So I talked to her on Tuesday. And I also knew in the morning I woke up so sad. Still that darkness and those voices are right there in the back of my head. And I texted friends. I said, can I come work at your house today? There's no way I can be here by myself. I didn't have any medications in the house, but that's not the only way. So I just asked them, I was like, I'm really sad. Can I borrow a sliver of your kitchen table just for a day? I need to not be in the house. And of course they said, of course, come over. And so I was packing up all of my stuff to go over there. I realized, and after I made my appointment with the grief counselor, it was this realization that I can't do this by myself. I know I've gotten lots of comments about it. And I tried. I really tried. But for me, I know I need to have some coping mechanisms to handle these bouts of darkness, these immense sadness times that are going to come. I know they're going to come again. It's not a one-off. So I knew at that moment I have to rely on friends. I don't like to burden people. That was me. I don't rely on anyone except myself. That's been my whole life. When I met Sean, he actually taught me how to rely on him. I was even so independent that I wouldn't even, everything. Did everything myself. So he taught me how to rely on people. And so I'm leaning on him and his strength for this, to rely on friends, to, when I'm in that sad, sad place, to get out of the house, leave. If I have to work, go work somewhere else. It's so important for me to have this. It's not an escape. It's just a way to cope. It's a way to cope through this bout of sadness and a way to cope to the next bout of sadness. And I got some strategies with my grief counselor and talking to her about things. And so I have some ways to implement things that happen on the next time. And there will be a next time. I know there will be. It's scary to think that, but I know there will be a next time. I want to say this. I don't want to die. I'm not a suicidal person. I'm a happy person. But in that moment, you have no control over yourself. You have no control over your thoughts, your actions, anything. You have nothing. It's like a hazy blur of dark, and everything's blurry and everything's dark, and the voices and everything else. It just is, it's a bad place. But I'm happy that I got some help. I've told a couple friends what happened so they can know where my mental state is as well. So if I need the help, I can reach out to them and ask for help, which is what I told them, because I need to do that. So I wanted to share that with you today, because this week has been just awful. It's like I started again. That's another thing that I was talking to my counselor about, saying that I I felt like I was really doing good. Like I was moving forward. I was doing this, and I felt like I lost. And she was like, that's one of the things that you can't feel. This is not a winning or losing situation. It's ups and downs and sideways and backwards, forwards. It's all over the place. And that's all normal. But there's no winning. This will be with me forever. I know that. I understand that. So, it's another week. It's been a hard week. It's week 12, and week 12 has been my hardest. It's my lowest, and it's got to go up from here. Like, it can't go any lower. It really can't. There's only one place lower it could go, and I don't want to go there. That's not me. It's not what I do. It's not who I am. But I wanted to share with you to show you that if you are going through this, it's very normal to have these thoughts. It doesn't mean you're a suicidal person, but it is so important if you do have those thoughts to get some help, to get someone to tell you what's going on, to help you understand what your brain is doing, what your body is doing, why you're so exhausted, why you can't sleep, why you can't eat. All of these things I found out that I need help with, and I definitely recommend getting help as well. If you are a friend and you have someone going through loss of any kind, but specifically loss of a spouse or person or loved one, and there's an event like I had this weekend where that person is surrounded by love and laughter and joy and happiness, even if they don't look happy, because I did look happy, because I was happy. But even if they don't look happy, be there for them when the event is over, because it is a low that I can't even describe. It doesn't have an explanation, like a definition for it. It's darkness, and your friend's going to need you there. Also, be a friend that will call the police on you. Don't be scared to do it. I can't thank my friend enough for doing that. It scared me, which is what I needed. But you can save someone. And if you're watching this and you know the situation that I've talked about today, and you've been in that situation, I'm sorry. Please reach out to someone. I'm going to post a number below in the description, a suicide hotline number. If you are watching this and you have those feelings, feel that darkness, don't let the darkness consume you. Call this number. Just have someone to reach out to. Not everybody has friends, so definitely use this number. It won't hurt you. It's just someone to talk to. If you are a friend, also take that number. Keep it. I know we can all do a Google search, but if you have a friend in this situation like me, just have it handy and let your friend know that you're there for them. All I can say is I can't tell you that it will get better, because it hasn't for me, but I can say that there are ways to cope. So reach out to a professional, reach out to someone. I didn't think that therapy was for me. I would never have thought about going into therapy, but I need it. I need it, and you may need it too. So reach out to someone. That's all I can say right now. I know this has been a really long ending, and I apologize for that. I just wanted to share with you what happened and where I am now. So know that I love you. Thank you for all your comments and your amazing messages. I love them. I read them all. I'll hope to get to them and comment back to them one day. But right now I'm just trying to struggle to keep my head above water. So I love you all. Thank you for all your love and support. It's been a long week for me. If it's been a tough week for you, I'm sorry. I'm there for you. And hopefully for all of us, next week will be better. So thank you guys so much for everything, and I'll see you next week. Bye.